President Donald Trump is considering revoking security clearances for several former intelligence officials who have been critical of his administration. The potential targets include former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennan, former FBI Director James Comey, and former National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Each of these former intel chiefs has admonished Trump publicly, particularly after his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Helsinki.
The president is exploring the mechanisms to remove security clearance because they've politicized and in some cases monetized their public service and security clearances.
Nearly 4.1 million people have security clearances, according to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Most will lose their access to top-secret information once they leave government service. But some experts say many former high-ranking intelligence officials do maintain some level of security clearance after leaving the government, partly so they can continue to advise their successors on classified matters.
It's true that if there's a specific issue, you might have former secretaries of defense collaborating with a current secretary of defense or a former national security advisor advising a current one, even if you also know there's sort of political feuding going on between those people and, let's say, President Trump.
Some former high-ranking government employees can even ask for and receive security briefings on classified matters. That can be especially helpful when dealing with ongoing national security issues of a previous presidency.
So if we're trying to negotiate something about, North Korea or Iran or, some very sensitive national security issue, and the negotiation had begun in the previous presidency, you would want to be able to pick up the phone and call that person or have your, one of your colleagues do so and find out what they know and what happened back in that previous period, how that may be shaping the conditions that we now face.
The idea of revoking the security clearances was first raised by Republican Senator Rand Paul, who met with Trump this week. Paul argues ex-intel officials should not be able to monetize their security clearances by using them as leverage to get paid speaking gigs and media contracts.
It is true that if you understand how this world works, if you've been part of it, if you've worked within the system, including your access to classified information, but perhaps even more so your knowledge of technology or your knowledge of government or your knowledge of other world leaders, then yes, the information that you've got in your brain is part of what makes you valuable. But you still better not leak classified information to people who don't have clearances.
Experts and lawmakers agree that the president does have the power to revoke security clearances at his discretion, but it's unclear if the threat has real teeth, especially considering some members of the list have indicated through spokespeople that they no longer have security clearances. House Speaker Paul Ryan told reporters this week he doesn't think Trump will follow through.
I think he's just trolling people.